Hello everyone, myself Neha Shah from LG Institute of Engineering and Technology from the Department of Electronics and Communication, Engineering. Today I am going to explain you the sampling theorem from the subject Signal and Systems from the fifth unit, which is sampling and reconstruction. So starting with the sampling theorem, first of all, what is sampling theorem and what is the basic use of sampling theorem? If we want to convert any continuous time signal into the discrete time signal, so for that we have to use this sampling theorem. For particular instant of time only, its value should be equals to any term, otherwise its value should be 0. So for that we have to use this condition, then and then only we can recover the original signal back at the receiver side. It means if we want to recover the continuous time signal back from the discrete time signal, so for that we have to use this sampling theorem. If it will satisfy this theorem only, then and then only we can derive the original signal back by using the interpolation process. So for this, first of all, we'll define the statement of this sampling theorem. Then its statement is like this: a continuous time signal x of t can be completely represented in its sample form and recover back from the sample form if the sampling frequency fs is greater than or equals to twice w, where w is the maximum frequency of the continuous time signal x of t. It means if we want to recover the original signal back from the discrete time signal, then for that the sampling frequency fs should be always greater than or equals to twice w. If it will be less than it, then we can't recover the original signal back. So for this we have to prove this sampling theorem. So for this, first of all, we'll take in the original signal x of t as the continuous time signal. Now if we will convert the signal in the discrete time signal, so for that we have to multiply this signal with the unit impulse signal 3. So for that we have taken number of unit impulse signal. This combination will be multiplied with the original signal x of t, so it will give you the final output, which is the discrete time signal, which has some value of the input other than some instant. Its value will be equals to 0. So basically we are converting this continuous time signal into discrete time signal by using this sampling theorem. So now if we want to prove this, so for this proof there will be some steps. The first step is represent the sampling function s of t mathematically. So sampling function s of t will be the unit impulse signal rate. So if you want to represent it, it will be a combination of unit impulse signal, right? So for that, if we are taking for n equals to 0, so its value will be either del of n, or if we are taking on t equals to 0, so its value will be del of t. Now if we are taking on t equals to 1, then the term will be representing like del of t minus 1. Similarly, if we are taking on t equals to minus 1, the term will be del of t plus 1. So if we are taking the combination of all this term, then it will give you the summation of del of t minus n ts. So in generalized, it will representing like this. In this, we have taken ts as the sampling time interval. So we have to set the sampling time interval so that we can recover the original signal back from the discrete time signal. So basically, if we will representing this s of t mathematically, then it will representing as s of t equals to summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite del of t minus n ts. Now the second step is we'll representing the sample signal x del of t mathematically. So what is x del of t? It's a multiplication of original signal x of t with s of t. So x of t into s of t will representing as x del of t. Right? So x del of t equals to x of t into s of t. Now as you know that x of t will representing now in the term of n number of ts term. So it will be representing as x of n ts into st. Now if we put in this value of s of t over here, so the term of x del of t will be representing as summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of n ts into del of t minus n ts. Now the next step is obtain the Fourier transform of the sample signal. So what is the basic process of this? if we're considering any complex mathematical equation, it will be solved if we're converting it in any another transformation method, like Fourier transform, Z transform, Laplace transform, like this. So if you want to solve complex equations, so for that we are taking the different transform methods, right? So here we are using the Fourier transform method. So in this, first of all, we'll converting the continuous time signal into discrete time signal by multiplying continuous time signal x of t with this s of t, means sampling function s of t. So it will convert in the form of discrete time signal x del of t. Now this will be solved by using, first of all, we have to convert this in the form of Fourier transform, then we will simplify it. At the receiver side, we will taking the inverse Fourier transform of it, and from that we will derive the original signal x of t back from it. So for that, first of all, we will taking the Fourier transform of this. So if we are taking the Fourier transform of s of t, so it will representing as s of f equals to fs summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite del of f minus nfs. So directly by using the properties of unit impulse signal, we will directly writing like this. Now if we are taking x del of t, it will be representing as x of t into s of t, right? And as you know, the property of the Fourier transform is, if we will multiplying any two signal in the continuous time domain, then its corresponding convolution in the frequency domain. So if we are taking the Fourier transform of it, then x of t will convert in terms of x of f, s of t will convert in terms of s of f, and multiplication will convert in terms of convolution. So x del of f is equals to x of f convolved with s of f. So for that we have to find out this s of f, right? So now we will putting this value over here. So what will be the value of x del of f? X del of f equals to x of f convolved with s of f. After putting the value of s of f, the value of x del of f equals to x of f convolved with fs summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite del of f minus nfs. Here the convolution property with unit impulse signal will give you the output as that signal on the particular instant of unit impulse term. So for that, this term will convert in this form as fs is constant, so it will be outside of the summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of f convolved with del of f minus nfs. Now here we will applying the property of the unit impulse signal. So it will give you convolution of these two terms will give you the output as input signal x on this instant. So its value will be x of f minus nfs. So the term will be fs summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite x of f minus nfs. Now if we simplify this term, we have to derive the original signal x of t back from this, right? So for that we have to find the value of x of f, and if you are taking inverse Fourier transform of x of f, so it will gives you the term as x of t, right? So for that we have to find out the value of x of f. It means the value of nfs should be equals to 0. So we are separating this term in the two terms. The first one term is for n equals to 0, and the second term is for n does not equals to 0. And this n does not equals to 0 will filter out by taking the filter up to the n equals to 0 only. So separating this term for n equals to 0 and for n does not equals to 0. So it will gives you like this fs x of f plus fs summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, but for n does not equals to 0, x of f minus nfs. So this term will be filtered out if we are taking the filter response for the range up to fs only. So x of f equals to 1 upon fs x del of f minus summation x f minus nfs. If we are simplifying this term goes over there, and from that we have find the value of x of f. Now if we are taking the value of x of f equals to 1 upon fs x del of f, then here we have taken fs equals to twice w, because using the sampling theorem its minimum value equals to twice w, right? So x of f into 1 upon twice w, x del of f value will be summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n ds into e raised to minus j 2 pi n ds. X del of f means its value will be, it's a Fourier transform of x del of t, right? So what is the value of Fourier transform? X of t into e raised to minus j omega t. And instead of omega, we have to take 2 pi f. Now 2 pi f t, instead of t, we will taking n ts, so the final term will be like this. So x of f equals to 1 by twice w summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n ts e raised to minus j 2 pi n ts. Now x of f equals to 1 upon twice w summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n divided by twice w e raised to minus j 2 pi n f divided by twice w. Now the next step is reconstruction of the signal from the sample. So this one is x of f, from that we have to derive the x of t. So how will derive the x of t from x of f? So for that we have to take inverse Fourier transform of this term, right? So if we will finding the value of x of t equals to inverse Fourier transform of x of f. Now instead of this x of f, we will put in this value. So x of t equals to inverse Fourier transform of 1 by 2 w summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n divided by twice w e raised to minus j 2 pi f n divided by twice w. Now we have to take inverse Fourier transform of this. If we want to find out inverse Fourier transform of any signal, so x of t equals to integration minus infinite to infinite x of f e raised to j omega t df, right? So instead of x of f, we will put in the value of x of a over here. So the final term will be x of t equals to integration minus w to w, because we have taken fs equals to twice w. So the range will be from minus w to w. So x of t equals to integration minus w to w, 1 by twice w summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n divided by twice w e raised to minus j 2 pi f n divided by twice w e raised to j 2 pi f df. Now if we simplify this term, as you know the rule of this, if there will be two terms, integration summation, summation summation, or integration integration, we have to reverse the order. So as here the integration is first and summation is second, so we'll reversing the order of it. So first we will taking summation and second we will taking the integration. Integration is with respect to f, so we will taking all the terms with f over here. So the term will be like this, e raised to minus j 2 pi f n by twice w e raised to j 2 pi f t df, and all the other terms other than f will comes over here. And 1 by twice w is constant, so it will be outside of the summation and integration. Now if we simplify this term, e raised to ja into e raised to jb will be representing as e raised to ja plus b. Now if we are integrating this, then it will gives you the term like e raised to j theta minus e raised to minus j theta divided by this term. So it will convert in the form as e raised to j theta minus e raised to minus j theta divided by 2j. So this term will be representing like sine theta. Now if we are simplifying this term, then the value of x of t equals to 1 by twice w summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n divided by twice w sine theta. And the value of theta is 2 pi w t minus n divided by 2w. Now as you know that the sine pi t divided by pi t equals to sine c of t. So we will representing this two terms same. So it will convert in the form as sine pi t divided by pi t. So summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite, x of n by twice w sine c 2w t minus n upon 2w. Here we have used sine pi t upon pi t equals to sine c of t. So this function will be representing as sine c function. Now the next step is graphical representation of the interpolation process. So for that, first of all, if we are taking any discrete time signal and this sample signal is applied to the reconstruction filter, which is considered as ideal low pass filter, so it will approximating the signal and it will gives you the original signal back at the receiver side. So you can derive the original signal x of t back at the receiver side. So in this we have used the interpolation process. So in this, as you know that this one is the discrete time signal. In this, we have derived the sin c function, right? So at each and every sample, it has some sin c function. So it will be approximating like this, and on the top of the points, it will connecting it will give you the original signal back at the receiver side. The original signal x of t, which is the range from minus w to w or minus v to v. This will be convert at the receiver side into number of sample term. So it will be sample like fs, twice fs, like this, right? Now if we are taking fs is greater than twice b, it means there will be some guard band in between these filter gap. If we are taking fs equals to twice b, means exactly it will meet over here at each and every term. And if we are taking fs is less than twice b, it means here it will give you the overlap. So it will give you overlapping over here. So it is considered as aliasing error. So this error will be considered as aliasing error, and we have to remove this aliasing error. Otherwise, this signal can't be recovered back. So for this, we will consider that if the value of fs is less than twice b or twice w, so it will not recover the original signal back. So this one is considered as a sampling theorem, and in this, as I have introduced this aliasing error, this error should be removed by some method. So I will explain this aliasing error and its effect in the next session with its particular solutions. Means how will removing the aliasing errors. Thank you so much.